Again, we see this truck on camera at the murder scene and in the neighborhood, and we've never been able to find it. It does seem like common sense would make you think, oh, come on, it's got to be on a security camera at a Starbucks or a gas station or something up the street. But it's not. So that's what makes this so hard. That truck is really like the white whale in this case.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to True Crime Unsolved. I'm Myles Reiff. I'm here as always with my buddy Sean Cahill. This is the place where we tackle the stories that the TV networks won't touch. Guys, today we're doing another comment video for you. Before we get into that, Sean, is there any channel business that we need to clear up?
I don't know about clear up. I will say we had a really fun time doing a Halloween episode for you guys. Last week, in lieu of a comment video, we had Drew Kessie, Jennifer Kessie's dad, back on the show to talk about some big developments potentially in that case. So it actually feels like it's been a while since we've sat down and shot a comment video. I mean, I guess it's probably been 2 weeks, but it feels like an eternity in YouTube time. So yeah, thank you guys for taking a week with us for two kind of unusual episodes that are a little outside the format. But we're back. We're back to business. We've got some comments from you guys going all the way back to Marci and Josh on the Liz Barraza case, which is mostly what we're going to concern ourselves with today. Other than that, yeah, there's big news coming down the pipeline. I will tease it, I guess, but I don't want to tell you guys what it is yet. But stay tuned over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We've got something really cool coming for you. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to expand the brand a little bit and get more out there for you guys. But as Sean said, we'll have more details to come.
Mhm.
So let's get into the comments. As Sean said, these are all going to be concerning the interview with Marci and Josh. Those are Liz Barraza's friends who were in the 501st with her and Sergio, and also spent a lot of time going on vacations, etc., etc. Very, very close friends of the couples. Um, Rachel Garcia, 4790, says, I need a patch, please. I've been a follower of this case since day one. I pray literally every day that this person is caught. I'm making a Disney patch jacket and I want to honor her with us every time I wear the jacket. So guys, just if you haven't watched the whole interview, because I also believe that Liz's parents mentioned the patch as well. So if you're familiar with the case, you probably know what Rachel's talking about. But basically, there's memorial patches for Liz that members of the 501st wear.
Yeah, I would say maybe I'm actually not sure if there's contact information on the family's website,
Hmm.
which is whokilledlizbarraza.com. It has all the information about the case. You may be able to reach out to them directly, and they would probably know where to get it. If not, you could also reach out to the 501st Legion. They have a website. I would imagine they would be happy probably to facilitate this. But yeah, it's a great question, and yeah, that would be my solution.
And I think it's a wonderful thought and, really, really nice that you want to do that and memorialize Liz like that.
Yeah, I remember the parents told us a lot of people who had never met her wanted that patch, and they see it from time to time, just doing work within that group. Like people that they've never met before have a Liz Barraza patch. So you wouldn't be the first. It's a cool thing, and it's definitely trending. So I would reach out if I were you. It's a great idea. This next one here is from Chelsea 5386. Marci and Josh seem like exactly the type of friends anyone would be lucky to have. Yeah, I love positive comments on YouTube. They're few and far between. Maybe actually not really on our channel. We're pretty
We
lucky,
seem
but
to get a lot of positive stuff.
yeah, yeah. When you set out to start a YouTube channel, you have to brace yourself that you are walking into the YouTube comment section. And we were pretty braced for that. But so far, it's been like this, which is really surprising to me. People just complimenting the guests. And yes, Marci and Josh are wonderful people. We really enjoyed talking to them. And they were just good friends to Liz. And I think almost more importantly, Liz was a really good friend to them. The stories they told us about her and how helpful she was. There's something in there where Marci was going to go to an event alone, and Liz was like, don't go to that by yourself. I'll go with you. It just feels like we learned a lot about all of those people being kind of awesome. And you're right. Friends anybody would be lucky to have. So thanks for the positivity.
Yeah, felt more like family from the vibe that I got from them. And as far as like how affected they've been by her loss, uh, yeah, I second that. Anyone would be lucky to have those guys as their friends. Absolutely. M. Marie, 3416. Did they check all the cameras on the roads outside the neighborhood, etc.? No cameras caught the vehicle around town. Uh, I mean, my understanding from speaking of Michael Ritchie, and we'll get into some other comments about Michael Ritchie as we go down. The answer to that is yes, they did.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of standard operating procedure. They canvassed the neighborhood, they canvassed the area around, and I think it's one of the most frustrating and kind of like astounding parts of this case is again, we see this truck on camera at the murder scene and in the neighborhood, and we've never been able to find it. It does seem like common sense would make you think, oh, come on, it's got to be on a security camera at a Starbucks or a gas station or something up the street. But it's not. So that's what makes this so hard. That truck is really like the white whale in this case. That, Sergeant Ritchie's just been chasing and chasing, trying to figure out where the hell that thing is, who owns it, and who was in it that day. So yeah, they checked.
I would recommend to anyone who does have questions because the truck keeps coming up in our comments, and
Mhm.
I would go back and watch our original interview with Sergeant Michael Ritchie. And we'll pin that at the end. I think we can put it as one of the thumbnails because it is really relevant to this case, and he goes pretty in depth into all the work that they did looking for that truck, and even talks about how he kind of became an expert on those Nissan Frontiers, which is something that he never thought he would. So it's worth checking out, just for that part, and you can kind of skim through and find where he talks about the truck.
I would second that because this commenter's not saying this, but I have seen other comments on some of our videos where they're like, "Well, all you got to do is just find out, who's driving a truck like that. Boom, you got him." And it's like, yeah, we know, but it's not really. If they've tried, basically, yes, that's an obvious solution, but the problem with this case is that that solution's not as easy as it sounds. Um, yeah, so go
Right.
watch it.
It's like checking every it's like checking every dealership, checking every registration. They did that. And Michael goes into detail on that. They really, really did the work on it. So
Michael has looked at every Nissan Frontier in Texas, is my understanding of it. And the problem is there's a lot of them, and it's finding the connection of which of these thousands of people has a connection to Liz Barraza, and none of them appear to that he can find, right? I'm sure that obviously one of them does, but figuring that out is the problem.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's an interesting point, Sean, because it might be more likely that they looked at information from of or spoke to people who actually may be connected, but just couldn't find a connection, right?
yep.
Because they did do so much work on it and they did look so hard into the trucks. So
Well, yeah, and you've got to imagine, this is a police department in a pretty big place, but also I mean, do you have time to dig deeply into the lives of, call it 20,000 people who own this truck? Well, you're also getting new cases every week. You've got a lot going on. Like he's doing everything he can. And I know he's not alone doing that work, but that's a lot, to try to find that connection between thousands and thousands of people with this truck. And especially this person obviously has taken steps to obscure their identity and their connection to Liz. Like it's a tall order. I do think it's going to get solved one day. This is one of those cases that I have that vibe about, but man, it's a lot of work to sift through that and try to tackle it from that direction.
I don't think the solve is going to come through the truck.
No, no.
Unfortunately. And I will say this is something that Michael said to us during his interview. I don't remember if we left it in or not, but he basically said that he was very surprised that the Nissan Frontier was as popular as it was in Texas because he didn't expect it to be. And he was blown away by how many of them there actually were.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think you're right. I mean, I would be surprised at this point if the solve came from the truck, but I do think it's going to be one of those things that nails down um, the evidence against the person that they eventually do find. They're gonna find somebody through some other way, I would bet, and then they're gonna realize that person had access to or owned a Nissan Frontier at
Right.
that time, and it's just gonna be one more, nail in the coffin for that.
There'll be a tenuous connection to one of the people that they already had on that list of, as you said, perhaps 20,000, whatever, the list of Nissan Frontier owners or
Mhm.
leasers or renters that they had. It'll come together.
Well, and
It'll
that's
come
the thing.
together.
We might see that it's like this person never owned a Nissan Frontier, but suddenly someone that has that car that they've looked at and talked to and seemed clean, we realize that it's their cousin or something like that, and they borrowed the car. And I'm not saying this because I'm some oracle or like I have a psychic prediction. I'm just kind of like I've seen enough crime stories and covered these professionally for a long time that I just feel like that's the way this happens often when you have this something like this that just like seems like it should be so obvious and easy and it's not. It's usually like that. So anyway, I could be wrong and this plays out completely differently than what we just said. But you know, if we're gambling on this and I had to make a bet, I would bet that that's how the truck will become important. It'll be tied in later and it'll be an aha and kind of a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to take this next one? This is an old friend of ours.
Yeah, where do we leave off? Oh, yes, KG Penguin. Nominating you for best username
One of
on.
my two favorite usernames.
There's another one I know we like. Maybe he's here somewhere too. All right, so KG Penguin said, I enjoyed the video with Marci and Josh. I appreciate them sharing their memories of Liz and their times together. It's fantastic that they're donating those books in Liz's honor. I agree with you too about the unhinged person who committed this horrible act. The outfit they wore still steers me towards someone in the 501st. The fact that anyone would pick this outfit to commit a murder is just bizarre. Yeah, I mean, it is a really strange thing to wear, and I think our commenters and even us kind of come down on two different sides of this whole outfit thing, right? One of them is like, well, it looks like maybe a Star Wars costume, therefore it's somebody from the Star Wars costuming group. The other side of that fence would be, well, why would somebody do something so obvious, right? Like if you're connected to Liz through her big social circle of people who wear Star Wars costumes, why wear one to commit the murder? Like if you're trying to hide who you are, you're pointing right in the direction of where you are. So it's almost like is somebody aware of her group and they're not a part of it and they're trying to throw off investigators who are going to see them on camera by dressing like maybe they're a member of the 501st. Or option three, I guess, Miles, this could not be a Star Wars costume at all. I mean, when we look at this footage and we'll put it up again, it's very grainy. It is very hard to see. The most I can really make of this is that it's an unusual outfit that definitely could be from the world of Star Wars, but it could also be something else. It's just too hard for me to see for sure. But yeah, I
Look,
mean, I understand why people think this.
I don't want to, milk things, and just, say the same thing over and over again. But I've said this before. The more that you look at this footage, the more you start to see in it. Is that a product of the continuing dissection of it and your brain looking for things that you want there to exist in that footage, or is it really there? I don't know. It's bizarre. Is it a bathrobe? Is it a Harry Potter robe? Is it Princess Leia's robe? I don't know. I don't know. But I do understand why everyone feels the way that they do. And I will always say, I do think it's very interesting that when Michael Ritchie spoke to us, he always referred to it as a costume and not a disguise. I do think that's very interesting.
Yeah, we've talked about sort of the semantics of costume versus disguise before going over this subject. It is interesting. And the one thing that I think we all know for sure is that, yeah, this person is unhinged. You're absolutely right, KG Penguin. Normal people don't do this. The question is who, right? Is it somebody really close to her? Like yeah, everyone has always brought up Sergio, or is it somebody who is unhinged for a different reason? And it's a little more bizarre, which we talked about in one of these videos about Liz. Is this somebody whose motives are so strange that one of the reasons we've had trouble catching them is no one would ever imagine this, right? Until we find them and we're like, oh, really? That's what was behind this whole thing, which could be possible too. I guess it remains to be seen. Hopefully, we figure it out.
Agreed. Agreed. Shadow GJZ says, love this. Thank you so much for doing this interview with Liz's friends and sharing it with us. So sad for them. You can tell it still hurts like it was yesterday. Still hope Sergio accepts your interview requests or perhaps even a third interview with Detective Ritchie. But you guys have done an amazing job getting everyone together. Thank you, Shadow. We appreciate that. We do work hard to try and bring the primary sources, so to speak, to you guys and get the interviews with the people that matter. And Detective Ritchie's obviously been great. And if there was a reason, a pressing reason to speak to him again, and he thought that it was worthwhile, I'm sure he would talk to us again. I just don't know if there's no reason for us to do that right now. As far as Sergio goes, we've been trying through other folks, and I've also messaged him directly. I've even tried to friend him on Facebook, as quaint and maybe trite as that sounds. So yeah, we've tried, but again, I don't necessarily hold that against him. As we've said before, I would also understand why Sergio would maybe not want to talk to us, and he's had enough people knocking on his door and trying to talk to him about this. So, maybe one day he'll talk to us, maybe not. But again, I do agree about Marci and Josh, and you can see the pain that they're still living with, and how close they were. So we're really, really grateful that they talked to us. And we're so grateful to you guys that so many people have responded to this interview. We really thought that obviously, Liz's parents, a lot of people were going to be interested in that. Speaking to the primary investigator, a lot of people were going to be interested in that. Putting up Liz's friends, we were like, here's an additional thing that sort of like illustrates more who Liz was and gives you an idea of what was going on around her and what her social group felt after she was murdered. But so many people have watched this interview, and we're blown away. I mean, I think Sean, like, is it our highest?
It's our most watched video.
It's our most, but it's like almost at like 30K now or something. So,
It's at 35 as of today.
oh, it
Yeah,
is. Oh, wow. Okay.
doing
See,
pretty
I
well.
didn't check the analytics this morning like you did.
Yeah, no, it's doing really well, and I think it speaks to, the emotional part of these stories and how much people care about that. Because obviously, like, Liz's friends have the least amount of access to the investigation portion of this story, which you think in the world of true crime shows like this, people want to know about the police work, right? A lot. It's very interesting to people. Um, but that interview was totally just about friendship and loyalty and loss and grief and the damage that's done to like social circles, the ripple effects that go out when someone's murdered like this, and how it affects the people that cared about them beyond just their parents, right? And the detectives who work their case. So it's just cool to see the interest in that. And I think we'll bring you guys more friends in the future. We actually already have some of that planned and being filmed kind of like right now as we speak. Not necessarily on this case, but in our future cases, because it's a cool angle, and a
And
heartbreaking
it's
angle.
not something that we always go for in this format, and maybe we should a little more because I think this has shown that you guys really are interested in that. And
Mhm.
we always want to get the families okay. That's sort of like Sean and I. That's our baseline. It's like family has to say that they're okay with us doing it. Then we want the family to do an interview. But even if they say we're okay with you guys pursuing this, but we can't talk about it. We'll still go after it probably. Then it's try to get some of the cops to talk to us. As you guys know, some of these cases the police don't always want to talk. Sometimes that's because the case is still active, like what we're finding with Drew Kessie, where we were speaking to the cops and they wanted to do an interview, and then all of a sudden it got cold because obviously
Because the case got hot. Yeah.
because the case got hot, which is great. That's, so much better than us getting an interview. And
hmm
then there's the cases where, like, the original PD on the Drew Kessie case, they're not going to talk to us because they didn't necessarily handle it that well, and we're going to ask them questions. And that's understandable too.
hmm
So, that's sort of the first things we do. But yeah, seeing how much you guys have responded to these friends, we will definitely go after that more because
Well,
we want to keep adjusting as our audience tells us what to do, so to speak.
yeah, and let me say one more thing about it too, which is actually just kind of a compliment to our viewers because I think it speaks a lot to the type of people who are watching our channel that they are so supportive of Liz's friends, right? Like again, if you think about it like this, these people had no reason to talk to us, to put themselves out there, to go on camera for 90 minutes and talk about a very famous unsolved murder that they're tangentially connected to because a lot of people will, there's always the risk like, what about them? Who polygraphed them? Maybe they did it, right? Like you could see this getting really ugly for them. So they went out on a limb talking to us, knowing that the public would see this and have a comment section. But because of you guys being the people that you are, it is amazing to see all the love and the support and the thank you for talking and all that stuff. So you guys rock. I just wanted to, give like throw the compliment back to our viewers. It makes me feel proud that we have that kind of an audience on this channel. All right, so Enchilada 72. You know what? That's another great name. I'm going to call that out. That's a good name. Enchilada 72 says, "Great work, guys. I've followed this case from day one. Between Detective Ritchie, Liz's parents, and now her close friends, I'm amazed how you've been able to get them all on your show. There are several things Sean brought up that I really liked. I too think Sergeant Ritchie is a huge asset to the case. I've read many posts from armchair detectives that question his abilities. Every interview I've seen from Sergeant Ritchie, including the extensive one on your show, leads me to believe that he cares deeply about this case and that he is more than capable of solving it. Sean also mentioned the possible mental state of the murderer. It's well known that murder investigations without a clear motive identified are much more difficult to solve than the ones where the motive is obvious or clear. Studies have shown that murders typically involve one of a dozen or so types of motives. Motives for murders committed by mentally ill individuals are endless. I don't think this scenario gets enough attention. Yeah, we were just kind of talking about this. It's interesting that this commenter brings it up. So again, yeah, I mean, not to milk it, like you said, Miles, but it's possible that this person has such a bizarre motive, and the connection to Liz is so weird and unexpected that that's one of the things holding us back in this case, right? Everyone's looking at friends, coworkers, spouses, business partners, the obvious circle of people around us where friction develops and murders happen, but maybe it is a little further out than we want to admit and a little harder to predict because it could be something like mental illness or just really strange, motive. I don't know. It does feel really well planned out for that, but I don't know. We get surprised by this stuff from time to time in these unsolved cases when they come together.
I've always leaned towards the idea that when we do find out the truth in this case, it's going to be surprising. But
I
I
agree.
could be totally wrong, and I have no I'm not putting my foot down and saying that I think this because of this, this, and this. It's just a feeling I have about it. Um, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's worth keeping that one in the conversation, it's so to speak. A lot of the conversation around Liz's story, people always want to go back to Sergio. And again, no one's been cleared, but Sergio also hasn't been charged. So, like, I want to be clear when we talk about him, we're not saying that he's responsible for this, but you see his name come up constantly in the conversation of who people are suspicious of. I would just say it's worth keeping our minds open to stuff like this because it may be a very unexpected direction that this answer lies in. So yeah.
Well, I think that's it for the Marcy Josh comments. I mean, there were a lot of comments on Marcy and Josh, but again, as Sean said, I think we gave a good sampling here because a lot of them were just praising these guys and talking about how obvious it was how much you know Liz meant to them, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of really nice stuff about us for, getting them on the show and everything. So, I think we didn't want to just keep saying the same thing over and over again. And, there's comments about the truck and there's comments about Sergio, which we always get. But again, we don't want to keep kind of rehashing the same material over and over again here, right?
Yeah, and you can tell a lot of the people who watch this also watched all the other ones, and so they kind of already know where we're at with that and what other people are thinking, and especially where Detective Ritchie's at with a lot of this stuff, right? I'm going to just echo what you said earlier. If you guys see this and you have more questions about this case, if you haven't yet, go watch Detective, or I should say Sergeant Michael Ritchie's um, interviews that we did, because a lot of this stuff is answered there, and you can really see how hard this guy's worked. And we had so much to ask him. We called him back again and did a second round of interviews with him, just to kind of like go down the list of things that the viewers brought up. So yeah, a lot of that's going to be there.
Yeah. And I think, just speaking to what Enchilada 72 said about how Sergeant Ritchie does seem to be a huge asset. I mean, if you look at this guy's record, which we have, and we've spoken to him about it, I mean, his closing rate is astronomical. I mean, he's got a great record as far as closing cases and doing his job. So I do think that he's a really, really great cop and he's super motivated.
He's got a great reputation, and yeah, there's no reason to call his abilities into doubt at all. Look, Kobe Bryant lost basketball games. You know what I mean? Like you can be really good in your field, and sometimes like you don't have 100% success rate. In fact, show me a homicide detective who does. 50% of homicides in this country go unsolved, right? Michael Ritchie's clearance rate is something like 90%. So he's a damn good cop, and this is just a frustrating case.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in to this comment reaction video. This Friday, we have Tiffany Witten's mother, Lisa Daniels. We got a sit down interview with her dropping. So I know we had a really, really big response to the Tiffany Witten case breakdown. So hopefully you guys will tune into that. We'll be posting something up on our socials about it, obviously, and I'll put up something on the post tab on the YouTube channel to keep you guys reminded. We'll have a little more information sprinkling out about those new developments that we've got coming very soon. Suffice to say that we appreciate your guys' support. And we appreciate how many people are subscribing and that our communities continue to grow. So yeah, keep along on this journey with us. We got a lot more coming. We've already got ourselves booked well into next year. We're conducting interviews right now behind the scenes. We're editing. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up. So stick around.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time.